Good morning, darling. I'm going to flip the camera around in just a moment here. I am here at the gorgeous, historic 5-star Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. And I just ate breakfast really quickly. There is a lot going on. I have a VIP day with a client here in about an hour, which I'm really excited about. And I just ate a lobster omelet. Could have been better. They should have used a cheddar instead of which I think they used a Gruyere. So anyway, I'm here in the lobby. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to just give you a quick tour and then I'm going to get into today's content, which is about darker skin. Darker skin, dark skin. I think it activates a kind of whoa in people for the very reason that they're not aware of, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So dark skin, suffer more or prosper more? So let's go on our tour first here at the Fairmont. So just beautiful pieces everywhere. That's one of the trees, one of several trees in here. This is the entrance. Some stairs up to some, I think some event space and some guest rooms. This is the major. Last night it was pandemonium on here. I mean, families, children everywhere. They had a wind down area for those of us VIP folks, so I was happy to get away around there. It's a gingerbread house. That is their famous gingerbread house that they put up every year. The kids love it. You can actually walk inside there. I don't know, there's a doorway right there, and there's a gingerbread display inside and the whole making of it all. I love these pillars here. Can you hear the music in the background? This is the restaurant. Nice restaurant also with pillars. Again, one of the pictures my email people received this morning. Another tree up there on the balcony. Down there to the left is just more space and shops, spa downstairs. It's concierge there. And here we are back where we started. So, all right, let me turn this camera back around. So I'm really delighted to discuss, decided that I was gonna really, because I'm always thinking about what's content is gonna be, the greatest service. Which content is gonna be the greatest service? And I decided for this week, I'm gonna discuss what things that I know that I think are extremely valuable, that are really necessary, that nobody is talking about. And so before I go on, I was just thinking about this as I was eating very quickly, is that there are things that I and you just know. You didn't read it in a book. There was nobody told you, but you just know. And yet, and let me speak for myself, and yet I don't see anybody out there in the transformation space, in the greater world at large, in any place, industry, talking about what I know. Do you relate to that? I wonder. And remember, I'm talking to spiritually gifted, highly gifted, visionary women entrepreneurs. There are things that you know. You work on the transformation space, there are things that you just know. And one of the things that I knew years ago, and to me, it was so profound, it's like I couldn't even structure the words to say it. And plus, I was new to the transformation space. I was so new to the transformation space. And so I had this feeling of being a rookie, of needing to listen to and follow other people. And so there's this content that's been with me for a long time. And so, the greater world, when I say the greater world, I mean the global, people in different countries, different places. The dominant thought is that darker skin, and you got to really stay with this, what I'm getting ready to share. You got to really stay with this, and I deeply encourage you to do your own research. You can do some simple Google searching. You can go to NASA. .gov, I think it is. Just go to the NASA website and really research this so you can have it for yourself. I'm sharing you just a fraction. I'm sharing with you just a fraction of what it is that I know. And my knowing is not based on reading the NASA website or something else. It's based, they have confirmed things that I've already known. And that's what scientists are doing now. Those of us who are shamanic by nature, those of us who vibrate high, those of us who are in the transformational space, and there's a part of us that's innately that. There are things that we have known for decades, centuries, and scientists are confirming it now. So, we're the chiefs, we're the masters, the scientists are the Indians. And so, another thing I want to add here is that because I'm new to talking about this publicly, my fluency in which I'm able to talk about it is, I imagine, could be better, right? If this is a subject I have been talking about publicly for years, that I would be able to speak about it, I imagine, with a level of fluency, because in the moment, I'm here in the moment, I'm speaking to you, I'm transmitting as I speak. And so it's like that, right? And so it's like taking content from above and bringing it down below and then shooting it out. So when you research melanin, you research melanin. Darker melanin vibrates higher. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. Go Google it. Darker melanin, because remember, white people are melanated too. They just are low in melanin. So there's a light melanin and there's dark melanin, and then there's everything in between, right? Dark melanin vibrates higher. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article where scientists were trying to simulate the power of dark melanin in a lab, and they weren't able to because of the high frequency. Catch that, okay? Scientists tried to simulate the power and the high frequency of dark melanin in a lab. So they tried to do a reduced version of it because it's so potent. So they tried to condense it so they could play with it, manipulate it in a lab, because that's what scientists do. They research, they take content, material, whatever, bring it into a lab so they can study it and then get an outcome and then give it to us and say, this is what we found, okay? They were not able to take the purest form of melanin into the lab because it was too potent. So they took a reduced version and tried to create an output and realized that even the reduced version was so aggressive that they were not able to get enough of a read to be able to give us, the people, or their industry, an honest research on melanin, dark melanin. Now, what I have known, even before I read this, and with reading this and other pieces on the internet from scientists, have confirmed is that darker skinned people are naturally endowed with the ability to affect change more profoundly and radically than lighter melanated people. Now, see, in the dominant culture, when I say dominant, I'm like Hollywood, because they like control a lot of the consciousness of humans, right? The TV, the show, all the media that's shown. Dark is always portrayed as negative, as poor, as unintelligent, as low, as down and negative. That is the communication and the visual that's communicated through Hollywood, through, and it's now infiltrated the consciousness of people worldwide. And worldwide, dark-skinned people are looked at as the inferior ones. Now, I remember when this really dropped into my consciousness about, 2012, this dropped into my consciousness where I was like, I see what the dominant narrative is about darker melanin. I see it. I see that there's this, idea of everything I just said about darkness, and yet I know that it's because of my dark skin that puts me in a higher vibration, a superior class, so to speak. And this is not like class, like I'm better than you kind of class. I mean, literally, because I walk around with a darker pigmentation, I'm vibrating higher. So now here is the tricky part, right? Why is it that it looks to be, and it looks to be, this is why high discernment is so important. Don't I talk about high discernment, high discernment? Because if you just look at what's given to you, like if I just look at what somebody says to me, if I just look at the images that are given to me and take them at face value and don't have any intelligence, and I'm not talking about mortal brain intelligence, I'm talking about intelligence coming from highness, coming from universe, right? If I just take that at face value, I get no nuance. There's nothing that's coming from a place of pure and true. So, why is it looks like darker skinned people, and I mean not even just darker skinned black people, I mean darker skinned Indian people, darker skinned Indonesian people, darker skinned Asian people, all Asians, right? Darker skinned any person around the globe who's of a darker skin. Why is it that there's this image, right, of this collective sort of dirty, down, low, kind of ideas, knee-jerk reactions that we have about darkness? And then I'll add to that, I even know, I can't remember where I heard this, but I've heard it in multiple places where when Hollywood does casting, and they're casting for a role that's like a poor, downtrodden person, they're always looking for a darker skinned person. You see the imagery that's intentionally put out. Right? Here's what is going on. When you take a thing, and you can go, this is not my opinion, you can go research this on Google. When you take, minerals, not them. When you take a thing that naturally vibrates high, and you put it in a circumstance, you put it in any circumstance, high or low, it's going to exacerbate that scenario. So if you take a darker melanated person and put them in a high vibrational place, they are going to amplify. So they're going to amplify even more than the lighter melanated people. Okay, so this is one of many of the reasons why I host my VIP days in places like this. Because when you place me and any other darker melanated person in a high vibration place, they immediately amplify for the good. Immediately amplify for the good, okay? Now, if you take me and put me in a poverty-stricken environment where it's dirty, where it's the language is low, where the thoughts are low, where it's pessimistic and it's downtrodden, like even as I say those words right now, I feel the constriction and the ugliness around it. So if you take a darker melanated person and you place them in a low vibrational place, they're going to amplify that. Then you take a person who has not cultivated the brain, because the mortal brain has a place, right? And you take, and you put a human being who has grown up in American culture, or any culture really, but I'm talking about America right now, who has grown up in American culture, who is of a darker pigmentation, who as children, before they were formed in their mind and the way they are, before they, in their raising, in their formative years, were talked bad about, given foul language, spoken poorly to, teased, rejected because of their skin color, being told that because you are dark, you are less than, you are, right? So you take that conditioning, and then you take and you put this darker melanated person in an environment that's of a lower nature. They're going to exacerbate that situation, which means you could take a white person or any lighter melanated person and put them in the exact same situation, and yes, they will struggle, but the darker skinned person is going to struggle more because of the frequency of the melanin in their skin. Do you get that? Tell me in the comments if you do you get that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm doing my best to articulate this in a way that people can get it. And you can go research this on Google. This is not me making this up, okay? I see we have people here. Would someone like to share with me if they get what I'm saying, or if they have questions about what I'm saying? Anybody? So one thing I want to speak to is the cognitive dissonance. Who is this? Kertrice. Oh, hi, Kertrice. Another thing I want to speak to is the cognitive dissonance that Native people are living with every day, okay? Not all, right? Particularly the ones who know something, but they're living a different reality, right? Because if you are a darker melanated person, you are made to do high things. Like you literally, like talk about privilege, talk about white privilege. Dark skin is a privilege. That is the lie that the world has told us. That's the lie. That you're dark skinned. So yes, we do have to deal with the consciousness, the dominant consciousness that so many have, that dark is bad and unintelligent and dirty and that. Yes, there's an interaction there. And what my experience has been is that when I am who I am versus some shrinked down version of me, people get in line or they get out of the way. I'm telling you, the level of queenhood to which I get treated when I show up as who I am, or the level of disdain and people getting out of the way, versus me shrinking because the dominant culture says, 1, I'm a female, 2, I'm a dark-skinned female, 3, whatever, right? The list goes on and on and on. So here's the cognitive dissonance. In America, particularly, in other parts of the world it's not like this because they're aware of the history of Africa. But in America, we're so self-absorbed and fucking entitled and think that we are the beginning and fucking end. So in America, there's this thought that somehow black people somehow started in the 1700s. Like somehow there's no history. Like black people started at slavery. That's your history. Excuse me, we are the founders of humanity. No other country, no other culture, no other language could exist if there was not Africa first, all right? So all of the black people in the United States are descendants of the original humans. Excuse me. And so is everybody else. The original rulers of the world were dark-skinned men and women. We are literally, see, this is how deep this runs. This is so deep that it's a mind fuck every day to live in the United States and have inside of your blood, inside of your DNA, inside of your bone marrow, inside of the deepest recesses of your soul, you know that you are royalty, and yet you walk into a fucking store and these people are following you because you're black and somehow unintelligent and dirty and downtrodden. Bitch, I'm telling you, America is behind like a motherfucker. America is behind. The people are so amazed. People are so amazed. They're only amazed because of the conditioning of human beings in the United States in particular. Amazed when not even just a black woman, but a dark-skinned black woman And it's because of the conditioning. Why would you be so amazed? Why is it the conditioning? See, and when you know better, people get in line. See, and that's why we have to operate. Okay, I'm rejecting have to. We don't have to do anything. You can suffer all the fuck you want, okay? Go ahead and suffer. What I know is that I can't even, when I operate from my blood, from my DNA, and I get around other people who are doing that, there's supernatural shit that happens. Like, as I walk through the world and I walk in places where I belong, and I show up in the world as I am, I feel how much of an anomaly I am because of the way I think and the way I move. I feel people's reaction and people getting themselves into formation as a result of me showing up as the queen that I am. This is what's lacking in the Black community. And then let me do some division here. In the transformational community of Black women, this is what's lacking. So many of the conversations are about empowerment and confidence and this kind of like pink cupcake faux empowerment, this kind of like white girl empowerment, this like Paris Hilton, cheesy. I'm so far removed from that. Your job is to operate from your blood, from your bone, from your higher consciousness. That's where your millions are. That's where like, I'm doing shit that's not even gonna be available on the internet for people to just click and buy, because I recognize it has come to me in such like profundity in the last 60 days. See, and this is where the dissonance comes in, and the mind can really fuck you. See, the ego, that's why I love this high discernment I have with the ego and the knowing. You gotta have that. One, I'm not for everybody. There's even a lot of Black people who will reject me because this level of power, like, it takes a letting go of a certain consciousness to even play at this level that I'm playing at. Like, this is some, like, seriously, if you're not connected, if you're not in conversation, like, there's a waking up that happens when you get in conversation with the right people. And there's like a letting go of so much drama and victim and waiting to be saved, and like this even subtle second class. I even see women who are talking about consciousness, but I can feel the vibration of second class coming from them. Like, can you feel the profundity of this? I mean, it's why you don't see me on Facebook, you don't see me on Instagram. It's like, I'm tapping into supernatural power. I am tapping into all of the, there's a word, faculties. Hey, Catrice, you're behind. I don't mean to offend, but I've been reading you. I read people. And I'm saying that because you and I have communicated. We've known each other for some years. Yeah. So what's really important, okay, Catrice. I see your response. Okay. So I'm going to let that go. What else do I want to say here? So if you're watching this as a replay, I would love to hear your feedback about what it is that I'm saying. Next year, I will be having these incubations, these portals that are going to be round table, invite only, We're going to be meeting in Saint Tropez, Positano, specifically for, and these are for all women, not just black women. These are for all women who know, as Patrice says she knows, who knows they are here to affect change and will only be in the company of other women who are affecting change. See, so there's a, you know, I told you guys, I think it was yesterday, that I accidentally, side eye, right? Accidentally ended up at an event in San Francisco earlier this week. And it was a reminder of why it's so important to only be in the company of the people that lift you. Where you literally are in a room with a certain group of people who... Could you imagine 10 of me being in a room? 10 women like you. Like if you're listening to me right now, you don't just know the path, but you walk it. Remember, there's knowing the path and there's walking it, okay? So could you imagine 10 women, 8 women being in a room of high vibration like this, right? Thank you, Catrice. What would happen? Like getting on a plane, flying there, immersing yourself in this space where 8 women who are equally powerful, where nobody is looking to save somebody or to be saved or playing victim, like, but everybody knows that they're of highness, and we come into a high vibrational space talking about what we're creating, what we know, the amount of frequency that would be in that room, and how you would elevate, like on a, and so what would happen is everybody who you're meant to touch would vibrationally they wouldn't even know. They would elevate naturally, and they would get pings on a super conscious level, and people would call you, things would show up, you would lead. Like this is that is so much more powerful and interesting than this what these people are doing today. It's like, what are these people done? Not interested. So I'm gonna go now. If you are not already on my email list and you're seeing this video, there is a link with this video to get on my email list. There are things that I send there that you're not going to see anywhere else on the internet, because it's for people who actually want to hear from me. And I'm actually going to be cleaning up my email list because it's old. My list is old, and I'm ready to renew it with people who are vibrating higher and who are currently wanting to be in contact. So if you're not on my list, click the link with this video to ensure that you receive details, content, invitations, etc. And if you are on the list and you want to discuss with me Saint Tropez and Positano next year, where it's going to be the round tables of these women who I'm talking about, very small, very intimate groups, high opulence, white glove service, exquisite attention to detail, everybody interviewed individually to ensure that they are just so perfect for the room. My email is also below this video, so send me an email and let me know what is it about this that calls you, who you are. Would love to what I know is when I have these, I had a conversation with a friend like 2-3 days ago who, I'm so happy for her. She just crossed $500,000 in her business. She's actually a former client, now we're a friend, and she just crossed $500,000 in her business. And I'm telling you, we had like a 20-minute, 30-minute conversation. And when I tell you, after that conversation, the way things cleaned up in my brain, the way I made a new decision, the way the level of power, precision, go, right? This is what happens when you get with your people versus diluting your brain. I'm telling you, it's such a reduction of energy and power with scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through all of these pseudo faux, just like the shit. And I'm not saying I don't go on there to find out what's going on, because I do. But I make sure I time it. I'll look at my clock and I'll be like, okay, 3 minutes, and I'll go. Or if I'm looking for somebody in particular, I'll make sure I go. Otherwise, I find that I start breathing shallow, my vibration starts going down, my brain starts getting fizzly, and it's just like, disconnect, get away. So it has been such a relief and has felt so good to be off of Facebook and Instagram for the last, I don't know, few weeks or so, however long it's been. Anyway. So I have VIP time with a client. We have a beautiful 1-bedroom suite, and it's actually being cleaned right now, so it can be fresh and renewed for her as she arrives. She flew up from Los Angeles, and she's going to be walking through these doors right here very soon. So here's a final look of this beautiful space here at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. 5-star destination. I love these pillars so much. I really do. Got some nice chandeliers in my suite too. Concierge. All right, beauties. So, Merry Christmas. I will be back here on Monday. Okay, I told you guys I'm here every weekday for the rest of the year. So, feel welcome to leave me your comments, be in touch, and be very selective about who you spend your time with, and get yourself in an environment on purpose and invest the time and the money to not only know the path, but to walk the path and to be around people who will lift you just from a conversation. And then also visiting opulent places that raise your vibration. Lots of love. See you on Monday.